understand ourselves, understand each other's, understand our environment, understand our universe, and it springs out of that in art in all of its forms, whether it be, you know, whatever kind of music, whatever kind of printed medium, whatever kind of written medium, whatever kind of, you know, you go to get a coffee and you'll see somebody who's working the bar and just has flair. That's art, you know. That's expression. That's, you know, that's more than somebody just doing their job. You know, and you can go see bands sometimes that are up there and they're just doing their job. Mm-hmm. You'll see a guy on stage and he's just not bringing much of themselves into it. And they're just doing a job. And to me, that's like, all right, that's not art anymore. That's just somebody going through the motions. You know, where's the passion? Where is it that got them there in the first place? And if they lost touch with that, then that's their fault. You know.
Speaking. Okay, the first thing when you were mentioning the MP3 and, you know, artists have to be paid, the first thing that honestly came to my mind was if you own a car dealership, you better put out some demonstrators. If you don't put out any demonstrators, people aren't going to drive your fucking car. They're not going to buy it.
Which is why you can go to sites and check out MP3s. There's pretty much no. I mean, believe me, I've wasted a lot of money on albums that I thought looked cool.
Yeah, it sounded like garbage,
and it
right?
sounded like crap. So I'm not advocating that people can't preview something. I mean, you don't go to a guitar shop. You can't just look at a guitar and say, all right, well, you want to buy it or not? No, you have to test drive it.
Sure.
You have to try it out. So that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that there has to be a balance. You know, people come up to me all the time going, dude, I have to admit, I downloaded all your records. But I love your band, and I'm here, and I want to see you guys. And to me, that is good enough. That's good fucking enough. You know, I mean, that is great. That's like...
They took the time to find out who you were, man. You know, it counts for something. Ultimately, I find that the music industry right now is more democratized than it's ever been before, okay? And people who haul ass, those are the ones that are going to get big. Yeah. And they deserve it. And the perfect example I have is Valiant Thor, man.
Right.
This guy runs a blog. This guy tweets regularly. Having met him, he was the most supportive guy. The guy, like, literally broke his back to try to be as accommodating as possible. Yeah. Tell me something. When you do that and you put a great show on top of that, don't you think that me as a fan, I'm going to go talk about this, right? But it started with an MP3 that was stolen.
No, I get that. It's not that I don't, and I don't disagree with it in the slightest. I think that the reason why Valiant Thor, for example, can exist as a band and travel the world and play shows is because the flip side of it is they also get paid to do it.
Well,
that's because if they did not get paid, they couldn't put gas in their tanks, they couldn't feed themselves, they couldn't pay their bills, they couldn't invest money into merchandise, they couldn't have a roof over their head or electricity to actually write the songs. If all you're worried about is survival, then
it'll affect your art.
It hurts you. You know, it hurts you. And there are better civilizations than ours that at one time that held artists, and I'm not speaking about myself, I'm speaking as a concept. They held artists up here, and they were very well taken care of and respected because their art was what got the kings all the way down to the peasants through their day.
This actually reminds me of a little story because jazz, before it became, you know, considered an art form, was basically, you know, backstreet music. It was music that bums and drug addicts played.
Yeah.
And Miles Davis, at one point in his autobiography, mentioned that he was getting fed up here. You know, things things were happening, but it's just musicians were basically seen as niggers. Okay, and then he goes on and he starts talking about how he went to France and he noticed that the audience treated him like a great artist, right? And he got held up here, so he talks about what a great time he had, having coffee and having drinks with Jean-Paul Sartre and all this. So he's hanging out with really, the big names in art and culture. So much so, and he had a torrid love affair, I forgot the name of his girlfriend, so much so that when he came back to the States, he got so depressed by it that that's where he got addicted to heroin.
Ultimately, I think it's all valid because, from YOB's perspective, if them hearing us or not is dependent upon a dollar, then we will give up that dollar so they can hear us. I guarantee you, every fucking time. That's more important than getting paid.
When I joined iCrates Magazine and started this iCrates TV, one of my goals was to try as much as possible to communicate to people that are listening to music where we're at right now. Okay, and for me, an example would be a band that, like yours, man, maybe back in '82 would have been on the same level as Iron Maiden, and an Iron Maiden fan would have bought a YOB record. But let's face it, an Iron Maiden fan pretty much doesn't know who the fuck YOB is.
Absolutely.
That's, so for me, it's almost, I think it's nice to be able to just kind of pull back the curtain and to tell people really what it is. It's like, what's a successful YOB album, for example? I mean, how many units does a successful YOB album sell?
Not very many, really. 5,000.
There you go. And the reason, and again, you see, the thing is
maybe 10,000.
Maybe 10,000. And the reason I'm saying this is obviously not because I'm trying to hurt you. It's exactly the opposite.
No,
I'm trying to say every last album counts, man.
We have no delusion of grandeur. We've done some grand things, and we're always very quick to downplay kind of where we're at in the world of music because we feel like we really know. It's like we know that what we've done is seen as very good to some people, and we've been able to rub elbows with some of our heroes, which is very, very satisfying. Playing the Tool shows, it's hard to downplay that because it is. They are one of the biggest bands that ever has been, and so it sounds cool, but really it was just the four dudes in that band who really liked us, who brought us on the road, but they don't need us. We didn't do anything for them, really. That place, 16,000 people in that stadium would have been there if there was no opener.
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons, quite frankly, that I'm happy the music industry basically self-imploded is that the chasm between rock star and consumer or fan has gotten that much closer, and it makes it so that it's not in control of a company and the advertising budget they have it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like a Valiant Thor will go out and he'll talk to his fans, for example. You'll go out and you'll grant an interview. Okay.
The reason why I grant interviews, as you put it, is because I respect you. I respect people that are out there.
You're one of the few, man.
That want to, help this thing be alive and help be part of the nerve endings and capillaries that connects all these things. That makes this body of music be alive, right? And so people that do interviews, people that do blogs, they're a part of that, and so to me, in that sense, it's not much different than what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of the creative process. We all, it's like an indie band that thinks that isn't true should take the sticker off their album that said 9 out of 10 in Decibel. If you don't give a rat's ass about that kind of support, then take it out of your bio.
Yes, sir.
Don't act like it's something special if you don't think it is.
before any of this, okay? But I knew that I loved your music, and I want to share a little YOB story with you, if you'll let me.
Sure.
Okay. This must have been maybe 6 years ago. It actually happened 6 years ago. One of my close buddies got married, and what they did was they rented this huge cabin out in the woods right next to a lake, and it was a big party, right? So Saturday was the party for all the friends and family kind of thing. Sunday was the party, right? And we were just kind of all hanging out, and everybody got their turn at the turntables and stuff. And at one point I connected with one of his buddies from Winnipeg, who was a hardcore metalhead. And just talking metal, we realized that we didn't want to be at that party, so what we did is we just grabbed a six-pack, went into a car and listened to The Unreal Never Lived, because you hadn't heard it before. But it's kind of like, just to kind of give you that tape training thing, it's like, nah dude, you think you're a metalhead, you gotta listen to this, you know? Move away from the party altogether, six-pack in hand, just staying in a car like two fucking losers listening to your record. And yeah, that's what you mean to me, man.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story, dude. I've been that guy many times with other people's records.
You know what? I'm still that guy.
Me too.